Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Foreign Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He played a role in this process. I'd like you first. Good morning to you, and I hope you're well.
I'm fine, Sana. How are you?
I'm doing compliments of the season to you.
Thank you, and same to you. Merry Christmas in advance.
Thank you. Many happy returns. First, let's start with your some clarification of your, because I mentioned that you played a role.
No, I appeared before the.
You appeared before the
committee.
Okay. Why?
Yeah, because I have. So when you go to my job online, you will see that I have my case for a constitutional review, in which I stated why I think that the constitution be reviewed. Now, I also played a role in the committee set up by the former Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, when the minister thought that the constitution needed to be reviewed and set up a committee. I was not on the committee, but I worked closely with the committee to see what aspects of the constitution could be reviewed.
I see. I wanted, because of what you said, I also want to find out from you. Are there some key portions of a constitution you want reviewed? What are those?
So, clearly, Article 78.1. Well, the drafters of the constitution had good intentions for creating a hybrid system of government in Article 78.1 and fusing two arms of government, the legislature and the executive. So Article 78.1 is the fulcrum on which we all run around saying that we have, a constitution that is a fusion between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. It's just on Article 78.1. Now, why do I say that the framers had good intentions? It has a history. In 1979, when we started the Third Republican experiment, President Liman could not have his budget passed because of problems with his members of parliament. There were protocol issues, and those protocol issues had found its way into parliament. And so the members of parliament wanted to demonstrate to Liman that they held the power of the purse. Now, because of the strict principles of separation of powers, President Liman could not do anything. His budget risked rejection by his own members of parliament, or members of parliament from his own party. And so when the Third Republican Constitution was overthrown, and we had another opportunity for a Fourth Republic, the drafters of the Constitution took cognizance of what happened in the Third Republic and provided for Article 78.1, which made it possible for members of parliament to be ministers of state. The unintended consequences of that is that it has served to weaken parliament. Parliament's key role, apart from legislation, is exercising supervisory jurisdiction over the executive, holding the executive accountable. But because members of parliament by Article 78.1 are also members of the executive, you don't know who is holding who accountable. So that has served to weaken parliament. Now, the oversight role has been so compromised that you find members of parliament sitting on boards, being everywhere the executive is supposed to be. And the net effect is that parliament is weak. It's tied to the apron strings of the executive. I don't think that was what we intended. And I don't think that the flexible form of separation of powers has benefited us in the way we thought it would. And so, clearly, my position has been that Article 78.1 should go. So you spoke about the Electoral Commission and head deputies having a fixed term of office. This is not a new idea. The first time I heard of the idea was when during the meeting with former President Kufuor by the Constitution Review Committee established by the former Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Chairman Sabunsu, we met at, I think, there's a hotel around the airport. And then President Kufuor said that it was important for us to consider whether or not the Electoral Commission should have term ad infinitum until retirement, or we should just give the Electoral Commission a fixed term of office. The Electoral Commission included her deputies. So that was the first time. Then I thought that the idea was good. So when you go to the need for constitutional review, you will see that I captured President Kufuor's position in my paper, in which I said, yeah, it doesn't make sense that you elect one person and vest him with the responsibility of being an umpire in an election until that person attains the age of 70. And I thought that we should not give that an electoral commission a secretary of Senate extending to the time of 70 or retirement age. I also thought that in my paper, I don't know, I've not read their report yet. I also thought that the electoral commission should not be appointed solely by the president. I thought that we should take a leaf from the Kenyan experience, where that position is a public service position. And so the Public Services Commission must be responsible for advertising, interviewing, and nominating for consideration about 3 persons by the president. And that person, when so nominated, would then be forwarded to the Parliament for approval, and that approval must be by 2/3 majority, so overwhelming majority. And so that could serve to show that as a guidance that any electoral commissioner being appointed must have the confidence of and support of the 2 key, strong members of the party or parties in Parliament. Now, I also, like they have said, I have not really liked the idea of the extension of a presidential term. And Dramani Mahama in his second term has vindicated my position. Because when the matter came up, the first time the 5-year mandate came out was in the last State of the Nation address by President Kufuor in Parliament. And I was there, and I heard him loud and clear. And we opposed it on the basis of the fact that we are wasting time in campaigning and setting up government does not in any way justify why we should add 1 year to the presidential term. And John Dramani Mahama has proven it right. Within the first few months, I think within the first 100 days of his presence in office, he formed his cabinet, and government was up and running. And within the first year of his government, he's achieved so much. Meaning, if we put our mind to it and clearly ensure that they are not going to go on the honeymoon and waste the 1 year setting up a government. The 1 year can count. The first year in government can count. So the reason why President Kufuor said we should give the 1 more year, we should add 1 more year because it appears to him that the term of 4 years was short, has been defeated by the approach to governance by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in his second coming. Now, we are yet to see what happens in 2028. But again, I'm confident that because he started on a note that shows focus, determination, purpose, and intentionality, he will be able to manage the transition to another government without unnecessarily compromising the time needed to develop this country.
Interesting. Because it looks like all the things you've spoken about, but for the extension of a presidential term, have been. So then what do you make of the proposal, first with the extension of a presidential term to 5 years?
No, I don't. My personal view is that I don't think that's necessary.
It is not necessary?
Why? I've just told you that President Mahama has just shown that it's not necessary. And then you have decided Nigeria. And Nigeria is the most populous African country. And they are not considering extending their presidential term. And then we took that 4-year presidential term from the presidential system of government that is practiced in America. And they are, next year or so will be their 250 years of practicing that. And America is developed. So it just means that you can work, you can challenge politicians to work within the 4 years and actually achieve results.
But what would a 5-year, a presidential term of 5 years, would it spoil anything?
It will give the presidents and the elected politicians time to misbehave.
Time to misbehave?
Yes, because you have 1 year free.
How?
Yes, because if he was to set up his government in 2 months, it takes 6 months or 1 year, because he has 4 more years to go. And that is why, again, in their recommendations, I've not read the report yet, you will see that they are also recommending campaign periods to do 2 things for us. Now, because we don't have a defined campaign period, that is making our elections very expensive. So campaign is almost 365 days. So defined campaign period means that nobody will be allowed to take overt political campaigning within a certain period of time, to leave government to concentrate on the act of governing. So on the expenditure side, very good. Open campaign period, 3 months to elections. That's when you can hold rallies. That's when you can post billboards. That's when you can do adverts on radio. That's 3 months. So then there's a change of government, or there is a continuation of government. Now, for the presidential system, again, it defeats the 5 years, because it means that whereas campaigns used to start very early, January of the year of elections, many people are already running and putting in place activities and structures for their campaign. The Constitutional Review Committee has said, look, let's define the campaign period. So that gives, again, the elected representatives of the people, including the executive, power to concentrate on more important things of governance than to devote their time in the year of elections to elections.
You have run for member of parliament. In fact, you've been member of parliament for
four occasions.
On 4 occasions.
Yes, sir.
3 months. You can you run a campaign in 3 months to win a parliamentary seat?
Yes, you can. How many days does it take to run a by-election? Yes, you can.
You can.
You can.
I see. So you are not for the 5-year presidential?
No, until I have more convincing and superior arguments, I'm not for 5 years. I just think that the 4 years is... And you see, again, it's coming at a wrong time.
Okay. Where
in West Africa, presidents are tinkering with their constitutions and extending their tenure. And even though His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as said by Professor H. Prempe, is not tinkering with and not even entertaining the idea of a third term, if you put this thing in the constitution, it will go to confirm that probably West Africans have a penchant for tinkering with their constitutions.
And then you seem to agree with this thing of the Electoral Commission's having, is it a fixed term?
I agree entirely. And that has come in the wake of the bastardization of the Electoral Commission by Nana Akufo-Addo. Immediately he removed Charlotte Otsei, he introduced uncertainty and made that position a chief executive position. So why don't you just make it a chief executive position? Give him a fixed term.
I see. Well, in fact, there are many things you're talking about. And on this matter of devolving parliament from the executive, what was your proposal?
Yes, that's it. That's the Article 78 one. amending Article 78.1 to make it impossible for members of parliament to be part of the executive. That is the fulcrum. That's what I address first. So I agree entirely with them. I mean, parliament has become weak. That's why I said that the unintended consequences of Article 78.1, which was intended to address what happened in the Third Republic under Liman, has resulted in the weakening of parliament and the tying of parliament to the apron strings of the executive. So I agree entirely. And in fact, when the HPMPS committee was meeting stakeholders, my understanding is that even members of parliament supported the amendment of Article 78.1 to make it impossible for them to be members of the executive and for a rigid separation of powers of sorts.
You have been both you are a minister whilst a member of parliament. Are there merits to that arrangement?
The merit to that arrangement is that parliament, the executive will always have their way.
The executive will always have their way.
Yes. So when the executive, I mean, when VAT was introduced by the Akufo-Addo, do you know the number of MPs who for the government who were opposed to VAT? But they could not openly say so. It is only when after they lost that people got their courage back to talk against the VAT. That is what Article 78.1 has done to Parliament. And I can give you many examples of policies of government which were not really favorable, which the members of Parliament felt were not favorable to the distance. And then, but they passed. Ken Oforiatta that we are struggling with. When members of Parliament from the ruling government, numbering more than 80, pass a vote of no confidence in Ken Oforiatta, if we were practicing a strict Westminster type of government, that would have led to a collapse of the government. But what the executive treated them with impunity. Because they were all, I mean, even though they were saying that Ken Oforiatta is responsible for the woes, their woes in their various constituencies, they were also eyeing for positions in the executive. And that's when Nana Akufo-Addo said that those who were against the Ken Oforiatta was Ahoya, jealousy. They were looking for positions. You heard him?
Yes.
Yes. So don't let members of parliament be members of parliament to hold the executive accountable. In fact, if it were but for Article 78.1 of the 1992 Constitution, I have no doubt in my mind that what happened when the 80 members or over 80 members of the majority wanted Ken Oforiatta removed, they would have simply filed a notice of impeachment.
Anyway, you said what we are running currently is a hybrid between the Westminster system and the presidential system.
Yes, and the fulcrum is Article 78.1.
But in the Westminster system, you have like you say, a government that's fully composed of members of parliament.
Yes.
And it works. That's enough.
Yes, so the Westminster type of system is a system that knows of no presidential terms. That is the government of the people, strictly so-called. So you elect members of parliament to parliament. And the majority members of parliament form the government. So it's a government for the people, of the people, by the people. So if the prime minister loses a vote of no confidence in parliament, the government collapses. That's why the prime minister has no fixed term of office. He stays there until his party gets him to resign as prime minister or he's voted out through a vote of no confidence. So that's the difference. But in the presidential system of government, there's a term limit. And so when Montesquieu was writing about separation of powers, he didn't consider the United Kingdom as a good example of the principles of separation of powers. No, he didn't.
And in fact, when you, like you said, there are, will that deal, because essentially to many people, when you are a member of parliament and you are a minister, it also helps in members of parliament knowing, perhaps lobbying for development in their community, because they know who the minister is. He is one of them. They interact with him constantly. That will be different from when the minister is not a member of parliament at all.
So why do you say that the member of parliament must go lobbying for projects? Again, we are going to put our government on a good pedestal for development for the country. And we are saying that the member of parliament elected to parliament must go to minister's office and be lobbying for projects. Mm-hmm. You know why we have low attendance in parliament? It's precisely because of that.
The lobbying.
The lobbying. Members of parliament are looking at the next election. Apart from lobbying for projects for their constituencies, they are about the place lobbying opinion leaders within the party and decision makers to get them into ministerial positions, into boards, into many things. So they have no time for parliament. That's why parliament is weak.
I see. Then there are two things that I'll take your opinion, and then I'll get some education on what happens next. The first one has to do with the election of MMDCs. The committee is of the opinion that there has to be a phased approach to this. That not this election, the elections should not happen in all places, because some of the district assemblies are way too small. That there has to be a criteria for determining where those elections happen. Do you agree?
So what they are saying is that they recognize the uneven development in the district assemblies, and that not all district assemblies cannot be treated equally. I mean, simply saying that it is totally unfair to treat assemblies which are not equally circumstanced equally. So it's a matter of if you want, social justice or justice or moral justice. That it is totally wrong to treat Garut and Pane District Assembly the same way you are going to treat Accra Metropolitan Assembly. You see, so that's why they have developed benchmarks. So those that can be self-sustaining, that can generate their own resources to sustain themselves and hold their elected chief executive accountable, to be given the opportunity to elect their chief executive. And then while you allow the state to help district assemblies that are weak to be strong in order to move towards an election of their district assembly, their district chief executive. And I think that is fair.
And then the third term, in fact, reading the quotes is quite interesting. This Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh says, Mr. President, we couldn't find a place for a third term. We looked and looked, but still couldn't find. And says there wasn't much of a demand for it. The only thing was for us to clarify ambiguity in 66(2). But we didn't want to go there because we didn't think that it raises any issues of ambiguity. There are those who have pointed to the unique situation of President Mahama to say that it is possible to interpret the Constitution to be saying that the terms should be consecutive. Do you agree?
Oh, no. If you read it that way, you will read it into the Constitution. I also had that I also unfortunately had that position. That's you. To be honest with you, I was even courageous in 2020 to go to John Dramani Mahama, then candidate, and tell him that we are going to wait for him to win, and then when he wins, he will do 2 more terms. He told me, Inusah, let's work to win the elections first of all before we even think of what you are talking about. So I also had that view until I went back and read the Constitution. I think that the drafters of the Constitution were very clear, and they drafted the Constitution in such a way that they left no doubt in the mind. That's why there is Article 66(2). That's why, to clear any doubt. That's why there's Article 66.2. And so, unless you take off Article 66.2, you will think that Article 66.1 is talking about consecutive term, that is a term following the other. But Article 66.2 puts it beyond doubt that whichever occasion, whichever situation, the president is limited to 2 terms. So I also had that view.
Okay.
And that's why Professor, he's a professor. He had to create lightheartedness when he was discussing that one. And he did it on purpose. He looked and looked and looked and didn't find. What was there was a clamor for the clarification of Article 66. But we didn't find the need because, to our mind, Article 66 is very clear. Article 66 is an entrenched clause. So, just like Article 93 of the Constitution, which deals with the legislature. So, if the proposal to extend the term of office of the president, Article 66 is the one which gives the president 4 years. If the proposal is to extend the term of office of the president to 5 years, it will require a referendum, just like Article 93, which says that, which the proposal seems to suggest that Parliament too should have 5 years. That will also require a referendum by Article 290.
Okay. But what steps have to be taken before we get there? Because they've submitted the report to the president. What happens next?
So that the president will have to do a white paper and then send the recommendations to what they want to do to the Council of State. Those that are straightforward, the Council of State will put their opinion and forward it to Parliament. And the Parliament, those which would require parliamentary amendments, the Parliament will then start the process of amending them by 2/3 majority. Those that will require a referendum, a question will be formulated, or questions will be formulated, and then the Electoral Commission, Central Electoral Commission, through Parliament, for the Electoral Commission to conduct the referendum. And the referendum has benchmarks. If the thresholds are met, the Electoral Commission reports back to Parliament, and Parliament simply passes.
Alaji, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Alaji Inusah Fuseini is former member of Parliament for Tamale Central, and of course, former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, former Minister for Roads and Highways, and also former Deputy Minister for Energy. So, a diversity when it comes to his thoughts on governance. So, like the matter of the third term, no. Those of you are saying third term. And I'll read to you the quote of Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh again. Mr. President, we couldn't find a place for a third term. We looked and looked, but still couldn't find. And he continued, there wasn't much of a demand for it. The only thing was for us to clarify ambiguity in 66.2. But we didn't want to go there because we didn't think that it raises any issues of ambiguity. Let me read to you 66.1 and 66.2 for those who are clamoring for President Mahama to get another term. Now, 66.1 says, a person elected as president shall, subject to clause 3 of this article, hold office for a term of 4 years beginning from date on which he is sworn in as president. And then 66.2 says, a person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. They said, a person. Listen carefully. It said, a person, Nancy, SM, Senna, shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. In this case, President Mahama. I don't hear, to be very frank, I do not hear the ambiguity. There's no ambiguity in this. It's so clear. A person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. It doesn't matter when the election happens. So a person shall not be elected. So there has to be an election. They don't care when the election happened. Whether the first one happened 12 years before the second one, they said a person, once that person has held office before, the person has only one more chance. So, per this constitution, to be very frank, yes. It's a simple, straightforward matter. They said a person, President Mahama, shall not be elected to hold office
is that
as
President
president of Ghana for more than. So I'm using him because his circumstance is peculiar. And that's why this issue has come up. I'm sure if he had run for 2 consecutive terms, nobody would be raising an issue. Yes, but I didn't get that opportunity to do it. Privilege. The people of Ghana perhaps decided that, wait, we want to try this guy. If it doesn't work for us, come and see if you can fix his problems. So they brought Nanado and then brought him back. This is why we decided that he should go and come back. So fix it now. So I think President Mahama, the plan for the people of Ghana was, this party has been asking for this thing for so long. We want to give it to him. But if we let you continue for 2 terms before giving it to him, we don't know who will bring to come and solve our problem. So please wait. Let him come. Let's see what he will do. If he doesn't do it well, then you can come and fix it. So now President Mahama is back for his second term. Like the constitution says, a person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. And Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh and Charlotte Osei, is that not Charlotte Osei?
Yeah,
Is a member, and the other persons who were part of the committee that was set up all agree that there's no ambiguity. That 4, no, that is it. When he's done with 4, that is it, and I guess he knows. So that is what has been presented to them, and I agree with the proposal on the metropolitan municipal. This is and district assemblies. I agree completely, because I've always held that opinion that not all assemblies are the same. Some of them, they already depend heavily on government. So for some, yes, and even the ones that I used to think we should elect their MMDCs has been whittled down to small sizes. Accra Metropolitan Assembly is 1. Right now, I don't think there's sense in electing. To be very frank, with what we have done with the decentralization process, the election doesn't make sense to me anymore. It doesn't. At this point, I think that just let the president put people there and then decentralize development. Let them be beholden to the executive. Because if we really want to do election, we need to have assemblies that are worth voting on. Right now, I don't see the sense in it. Look at that AMA, to do. AMA is to do. They don't go anywhere. AMA is small. In fact, there are assemblies that are not metropolitan, but are bigger than Accra Metropolitan Assembly now.
True.
Their size, in terms of size, they are far bigger than Accra. For example, I can say for a fact that South Tongue District Assembly or Municipal Assembly is bigger than Accra Metropolitan Assembly now. And so we have enveloped it in a small area. What is the use of an election? It will make more sense to even do an election in South Tongue than to do it in Accra. It doesn't make sense anymore. I think what we have done, to me, we should just abandon this idea of election of MMDCs. I don't see the sense in it. I don't really see the sense in it. Anyway, Nancy, let's do those messages because
And it's that season of Christmas again, and your favorite Bigo drink is a must-have drink on the family menu. Yes, you know everywhere make hot, bebia ayeshi. But still, the Xmas dear man for enjoy regardless.
Yeah.
So your favorite Bigo cola is now bigger on taste. One sip says it all. It's a smoother, richer, better than ever. For this Xmas season, boys, girls, mommy and daddy, for the party, weddings, outdoorings, housewarming, family day out, and any other social gathering, no wahala. Grab any of our flavors: cola, orange, pineapple, apple, cocktail, and etc. Bigo drink, big in taste, big in flavor, big in quantity, and very affordable for all. Bigo Drink, another premium product from Chilium Industries, Industrial Company Limited, producers of Rush Energy Drink and Vena Mineral Water. And it's CD stability, CD steady, Ghana ready, and we are giving you incredible discounts across our wide range of furniture, from sofas, dinner sets, wardrobes, and office chairs to beds, decor, and so much more. There's something for everyone. This is your chance to transform your living room, upgrade your bedroom, or refresh your office. Premium quality at unmatched prices. And don't forget, we also have mini special promo items already marked with $9.99 for even greater savings. Hurry to any of our branches, and you're talking Furniture City here, Spinters, Tema Community 25 or Kumasi TUC, and grab these exceptional deals while stock lasts. So for Spinters branch, you call 0540 314 948. Tema, you call 0257 961 451. And if you are in Kumasi, visit Furniture City Kumasi branch or call them on 0594 006 063 0594 006 063.
SM, do the needful.
High sense before say Brunya Nedru. Tino Pacho. Brunya with the high sense say, Omamunina Fishapo.
And of course, the high sense Brunya don't come is here. We started 18th December and it went on the 8th of January. We're giving you 3 whole weeks of biggest deals in Ghana. Do you need a new AC, a bigger fridge, a smarter TV, or maybe a new air fryer for the kitchen? Nancy, which of them do you need? All of them?
No, I don't need that.
Do you need a new AC? A bigger fridge?
Yes.
A smarter TV?
No.
Or,
okay, I need that for Afewa.
Or maybe a new air fryer for the kitchen? SMD come and get a real don't go me prices on our number 1 appliances. Quality? Check. Super affordable? Check. Up to 5 years warranty? Double check. Listen carefully. This promo is strictly in store. Yes, in the store. No online sales. No phone sales. You go and listen to somebody who is speaking some dodgy English. The people who cannot string two sentences together will call you and say, this is high sense. You see, Bronya, don't call me. And no, it's not true. Listen carefully. The promo is strictly in store, in their stores. No online sales, no phone sales. Don't be scammed. You must come to the showroom to buy. Visit any Hisense showroom now. For inquiries on promo price, you can ask about the price though. The number to call, no other number, 0302 550000. Hisense has everyday prices for everyday people. Let me tell you a few of their showrooms. You can find them at Damahia, East Legon, Accra, Tudu, Hacho, Afienya, Mataiko, La Paz, Bachuna, North Industrial Area, Junction Mall, Achimotomo, West Hills Mall, Tama Community 1, Kaswa, Kisiman, Bachuna, Broadcasting, Kumasi City Mall, Kumasi Edum, Kumasi Post Office, Kumasi Tafo, Kumasi Tanosu, Takradi, Takwa, Sinyani, Tamale, Hohwe, Obuasi, Mankesim, Techiman, Dansuman, Koforidua, Tama Community 25, and of course West Hills Mall.
Dedi kama mamena Pendream TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, Pendream TV.